From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordeau, and this is your News 8 Daily for Friday, September 12th. It's a warm start out there. We're in the mid-60s, getting up to the higher 80s today and could get into the 90s this weekend. Summer heat is back, but the good news is it will not be humid. We do really need that rain, though. Breaking news. Authorities have captured the suspect in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
At around 10 this morning, the governor of Utah spoke in a press conference. The suspect is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Officials say that Robinson's family tells them that he had gotten more political in recent months. Law enforcement also spoke with Robinson's roommate. He shared messages between the two, which indicated that Robinson had a gun, had hidden it on campus, also had bullets and bullet casings with inscriptions on them.
Inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital O-W-O, what's this, question mark. Inscriptions on the three unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and three down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
Police believe Robinson acted alone. Officials say it is likely that this was politically motivated.
Political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely.
Kirk's killing is stoking fears of more political violence. A bomb threat cleared out the Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. yesterday. It turned out to be a hoax. Amy Kiley reports Kirk's death has also led to extra security for the president and lawmakers.
He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond.
The White House and Congress are increasing security after the shooting of political activist Charlie Kirk. A source says that includes in President Donald Trump's box at the Yankees-Tigers game last night. The New York team says it also beefed up entrance screenings. Another source says organizers moved a 9/11 ceremony for the president's security yesterday. But Trump says he's not concerned about his safety.
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there.
Congressional leaders say they might boost security for lawmakers.
We're in a deliberate review process right now to determine what measures are appropriate, how much we could allocate for that. We've got to protect people who run for public office, or no one will.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says yesterday he discussed cooling the political rhetoric with Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
We have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
Several members of Congress say they worry about their individual events.
I've talked to my wife, and she really wants me to start wearing a bulletproof vest.
I like being accessible, but being accessible is starting to look like being vulnerable.
I'm Amy Conley for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
The playoff matchup is set for the Indiana Fever. They'll take on the Atlanta Dream in round 1 and will play at least one game here in Indianapolis. News 8's Colin Bailey reports.
Today, 2 p.m., you can get those playoff tickets for Tuesday's home game here, game 2 of the 3-game set versus the Atlanta Dream. Those playoffs, they'll start Sunday, the playoffs will get going. Bree Goss, you're joining us. This is exciting right now. We obviously just came off a finals run from the Pacers, week 1 Colts win. Now we're in the WNBA playoffs with the Fever. There's a different energy here in the city.
Absolutely. It's magical, and everyone's trying to get a little bit of piece of it. We need fans to come out, fill the seats in here. We need to feel the energy. And that's one thing about the 317. We're going to show out every single time, so I'm super excited to get started.
How cool has this been? How fun has this ride been? A lot of people counted the Fever out with all of these injuries all season long.
Man, when it was really back against the wall, and we just didn't know what was going to happen. Caitlin Clark, going out, I think a lot of people counted us out except for the coaching staff and the girls themselves. They were able to get up every day, make a decision that, hey, I'm going to fight as hard as I can, play as hard as I can, be relentless, and they were able to do so. So we were starting to pick up wins. Not only that, but we also started that chemistry, and now we see something that is going to be unbelievable. We need this run.
And you mentioned, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexi Hall, Aaliyah Boston, all these players stepping up. You guys leave today for Atlanta, though. What's the vibe like heading into this road game? Obviously, come back home Tuesday for this. Yeah. But there's a lot of excitement, I assume, with the team, inside the team, because you're around them all the time. You see it on the court. They've really bonded together this season.
Absolutely. And that's hard. When you plug in other players mid-season, end of season, there's so much that you got to catch up on. You got to have chemistry with the girls. You got to know the playbook. You got to be able to have defensive schemes. You got to travel. And then on top of that, you got to remember, I got to play basketball too. So I think we're just optimistic. There's nothing to lose here. We're going to go out again. We're going to play as hard as we can, and we'll see what happens. But I'm excited for the simple fact being, can we step up to the challenge? I think we can.
And Tuesday night, we'll be here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You've been here all season long in the radio booth. What's your message to fans come Tuesday when this place is rocking? It's going to be a red out in here, I was told.
Oh, yeah. Listen. What's our slogan? Now you know. We're going to be in there. We're going to pack the house. It's going to be energetic. The kids are going to be screaming. People don't want to play here, whether that's Atlanta, Vegas, whoever it is. People don't like playing in this building because of you fans. So let them feel you. Let them hurt when they get in here. It's going to be a total team effort. Yes, you are part of the team. So we need to pack the house, especially early, and come see us,
Thanks for joining us, Bree. I appreciate it. Again, those playoff tickets go on sale 2 p.m. today. That's for Tuesday's game. Obviously, take on the Dream. And if you're familiar with the Gold Outs with the Pacers, well, now you're going to be familiar with the Red Out that's happening here Tuesday. So, again, 2 p.m. today, your chance to get those playoff tickets for right here inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. For now, here inside Gainbridge, I'm Colin Bailey for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
The Marion County prosecutor says new evidence links a man accused of 2 attempted rapes on the Monon Trail last month to an unsolved case where a 13-year-old girl was raped. Prosecutor Ryan Mears says Larry Dewerson Jr.'s DNA matched evidence from February of 2016. Lawrence police say Dewerson broke into the girl's bedroom window and raped her, then ran away.
It doesn't occur often, but it's in one of these situations to be able 9 years later to go to a family and say, hey, now we're in a position to file charges is something that I think everybody is grateful that we have the opportunity to do that.
Dewerson is already set to appear in court this month for the most recent cases on the Monon Trail. Okay, traffic alert now for this weekend. The commute's most notorious corner of Indianapolis about to see more changes. It's part of that Clear Path project on the northeast side of 465. There are several significant changes. Starting today, if you go east on 465, you will not be able to get onto I-69 going north overnight, tonight, or tomorrow night. Also, if you're going south on I-69, you won't be able to keep going as it turns into Binford. You'll have to hop off maybe at 82nd or 465. Going north on Binford is possible, but it will be slow. Pinch down to 1 lane all weekend. Good news, starting Monday, you will finally be able to go from 465 eastbound to Binford Boulevard. INDOT is about to reopen the ramp after a long closure. The Indiana Supreme Court has unanimously agreed to boot a Howard County judge off the bench for life. Matthew Elkin served in the Howard Superior Court in Kokomo. State's High Court ruled yesterday that Elkin showed preferential treatment in some cases and made inappropriate remarks in court. The Supreme Court says he's the first judge to be dismissed since 2014. The justices say Elkin can keep his law license. Let's get to your business headlines now. Jane King starts with beef prices.
So beef prices have soared almost 14% in the past year, yet Americans can't get enough of the red meat. Now, these hikes can be explained by relentless demand and tight supply. The total U.S. cattle inventory is at a 75-year low. Even with those high prices, grocery stores say that demand is really strong, very resilient as people seek protein. Well, U.S. farmers missing out on billions of soybean sales to China halfway through the prime marketing season as stalled trade talks halt exports and rival South American suppliers step in to fill the gap. Now, China has booked millions of metric tons of mainly South American soybeans. China's been protesting tariffs by refusing to buy U.S. beans. And more companies cracking down on flexibility and requiring more in-office work, with some now threatening consequences for people who don't comply. The Washington Post reports the latest to join the bandwagon are Microsoft, Paramount, and Comcast NBC Universal, which in the past several days have told employees they could face consequences if they don't return to the office more frequently. Now, the job market has shown some signs of weakness lately, so that gives companies more negotiating room to bring those workers back to the office. And mortgage rates tumbled this week. In fact, it was the largest weekly drop in the past year, according to Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac says the average 30-year fixed mortgage is 6.35% from last week's reading of 6.5%. Mortgage applications, which does include refinancings, also rose. Well, stocks hit record highs yesterday. That inflation data reaffirmed the thoughts that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates when it meets next week. So big gains. The Dow is up 617 points, although this morning does look like we'll pull back a little bit. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
This day 24 years ago, emergency workers from Indiana and many other states were headed to or already in the disaster zones from the 9/11 attacks. Indiana Task Force 1 got there a few hours after the attack. News 8's Derek Dennis talked to the commander of the task force about his memories of the tragedy.
It collapsed. The top floors collapsed down.
It seems like it was yesterday, but it almost seems like it was a year ago.
Indiana Task Force 1 Commander Tom Neal was there with his team of 16 members and 4 canines.
That's the rubble pile.
In the rubble of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center 24 years ago. The tragedy of what happened visible in their minds and in pictures as they rolled into New York City just hours after the attacks.
And you could see the smoke and just the dust still in the air from, the burning of the structure still from the planes hitting the structures, obviously full of jet fuel.
Their 8-day mission, assist local fire and rescue crews already there in the painstaking job of finding remains. Any survivors had already been located.
Those that were found alive were found by FDNY or NYPD or Port Authority police officers shortly after in the hours immediately following the collapse of both towers.
And Wish TV witnessed most of it. One of our crews traveling with Indiana Task Force 1 to Ground Zero all those years ago. The task force on duty from the moment they arrived.
It was our job to search all the levels that we could possibly gain access to and to assure that there was no one that was still alive.
Searching what was left of offices, hallways, food courts, and concourses, all of it buried under twisted steel, concrete, and heartbreak. Commander Neal marking this and every anniversary, thinking of the nearly 3,000 lives lost.
To honor them and their legacy is we have to be focused on doing better, to do, to no matter where you're at, what job you're doing, but to be focused and have purpose in your life.
And to never forget. Derek Dennis for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Wish TV is home to the best high school football in the state. Tune in tonight for our game of the week. Brownsburg heads to Avon. You can watch every single play live on our sister station, MyNDTV 23. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock, then switch to Wish to watch The Zone. The city's first TED sports event is in the books. It wrapped up at the Old National Center downtown yesterday. Our sports director, Anthony Calhoun, sent us some pictures. He and longtime sports reporter Hannah Storm led one of the conversations last night. The series featured TED Talks talks, panels, and workshops. Indiana Fever great Tamika Catchings and the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, also spoke. AC and the sports team head to Butler University today for the Zone. The Butler Bowl, now called the Selleck Bowl, is hosting tonight's high school rivalry game between Cathedral and Bishop Chatard. In today's Aviator Adventures, Drew Narsutis takes us high above the stadium.
This week, the Zone tailgate heads to a familiar college backdrop as Cathedral hosts Bishop Chatard at Butler University's Selleck Bowl. Though it's not technically their home field, Cathedral is using the Bulldogs' turf for a few key games this season. Earlier in the week, the field was buzzing with activity, but the team you saw practicing wasn't the Irish. It was Butler getting the reps in while Cathedral prepared elsewhere for Friday night's big matchup. And it is a big one. Bishop Chatard comes in ranked 12th in Indiana, while Cathedral sits at 18th. These are two of the state's most respected programs, and while this one won't count towards conference standings, it's still packed with bragging rights and high-level competition. Kickoff is set at 7 p.m. Friday, and despite the calendar turning to September, we're still hanging on to some summer warmth. Temperatures will hover in the upper 70s, maybe even near 80 around kickoff, with a light breeze and partly cloudy skies carrying us into the evening. Expect a bit of a cool down as the game progresses, but it should stay very comfortable all night long. So whether you're tailgating with AC and the Zone crew, or just soaking up the atmosphere from the stands, this week's matchup has the feel of a true Indy area showdown. Meteorologist Drew Narsutis with Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This has been your News 8 Daily. From Wish TV, I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.